Hey everybody, so as we get started in some landscape drawing, I think it's good to talk about composition and how we set things up. And I was recently stumbling across an artist I follow on Instagram, and his name is Louis Colan. I think that's how you pronounce it. So he's a working artist today, and he does some really good stuff with pen and ink drawings and pencil drawings and sometimes monoprints on top of drawing. So I want to show you a few of his works that I find really engaging. They're very simple. They don't have to be overly complicated. So we talk about landscaping. We're talking about looking at nature, sometimes big vistas, but also sometimes close-up details with the indicator of a horizon line as well. So here are a few drawings, and what's really important to know is this idea of how the composition is set up. So as we move away from this work, I think of the frame and how do we set things up, and the idea of this rule of thirds. So if you divide a rectangle up into thirds, and it looks like a tic-tac-toe grid, and if you think about putting the horizon below the center line or above the center line, so one of those two horizontals, that's where you kind of want to put the horizon. And if you think about if the sky is dramatic and you've got a lot of cloud play, then the horizon should be lower, okay? And if what's happening on the ground is more interesting, then you push the horizon up. If you put it right in the middle, it could end up being a little bit boring, so we want to avoid that. Similarly, with the subjects, often we'll look at the grid lines that are the verticals, putting something on those grid lines, even on kind of where the horizon line markers could be. So thinking about if it is something in the grass or in the field or in the land below, putting something down and to the left perhaps on that grid line. Now you can also push to the extremes where you can move these grid lines wider and higher and look to make things look more dramatic. It all depends on what you want to do, but I would really avoid trying to put things smack dab in the middle in the crosshairs of the middle of your frame. And it could work for a horizontal or a vertical. So now as we look back at the drawings I showed you originally, you can see that with the first drawing, the subject is the tree and it's off to the left and it's kind of planted a little bit lower but also raises up. The horizon line is low. In the next image, it's also a low horizon line and the tree is to the right. And with this third example, you'll see that it's a tilted horizon line, even though the horizon would typically be flat. It's probably behind this hill, but that's the really strong horizontal line. It's tilted and actually goes from probably above the middle to below the middle of the actual composition, and the subject again is pushed off to the side. So I think this creates a little bit more interest visually for the viewer, and it becomes less obvious and maybe even a little bit more exciting for the viewer. So once you plan that out, then you can plot in your idea of your composition. Now the last image I want to show you is one that's just outside my home that I took in the morning, and you'll see that we have mountains with some sort of tree-like bush, a large rounded tree of some sort, and a lot of grass. And then from this, it's like, what do I want to do with it? And I'll show you what I did in my drawing right now, and you'll see that I pushed the horizon up, I pushed the tree over to the left, and that's how I took it. So I'll speed this through for you, and you can see what happens.